Hey guys, tonight we return to a world where every breath feels alive. A place where forests glow, oceans whisper, and the spirits of all things move together as one. We're diving into Avatar, not just the story you remember, but the world beneath it. The pulse of Pandora, the balance between sky and soil, the song that binds every living thing. Forget the noise of today, leave it all behind, because tonight we'll explore what connects Eywa, the Na'vi, and even us, how every soul, every tree, every drop of water might be part of something much older than we can imagine. So before we begin, take a deep breath, dim the lights, let the hum of your room become the forest around you. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, feel free to like the video and subscribe, but only if it feels right. And tell me in the comments where you're listening from tonight. Now, settle in, let your heart beat slow. We're heading back to Pandora, where the world never really ended, it just kept breathing. Pandora does not begin, it breathes. It breathes through roots, through water, through the air that glows when touched. Every sound, every whisper of wind is part of that endless inhale and exhale, the rhythm of a world that has never truly slept. The Na'vi call this Eywa's breath, but it is more than spirit. It is the pattern that holds everything together, from the smallest seed to the burning blue of the moon above. In the silence between sounds, you can almost hear it, the pulse beneath the noise. It isn't the hum of insects or the sway of trees, it's older, deeper, more patient. Pandora is alive, not just in the way creatures move or plants react, but in a way that memory itself seems to breathe within it. It remembers what has been and what will be. Every leaf that falls carries a whisper of what came before. When the Na'vi walk through the forest, they move as though guided by invisible tides. Their steps align with rhythms too vast for words, the circulation of the planet's consciousness. To them, balance is not an ideal, but a requirement. Each action ripples through Eywa's web, touching the minds of creatures they will never meet. They know this instinctively. The world is not a place to them, it is a body, and every being within it is a cell in that body. Yet there is a deeper mystery that even the Na'vi only glimpse, the source of the breath itself. Some believe Eywa is the memory of Pandora, the collected awareness of every life that has ever existed. Others think she is something greater, not the sum of life, but the reason life can sum at all. A frequency of consciousness woven through the very molecules of air and stone, uniting every heartbeat into a single vibration. This vibration can be felt most clearly at night. When the forests glow and the creatures quiet, Pandora itself seems to listen. The light within the trees pulses in time with something unseen, and those who are still enough, truly still, can feel it through their skin. The air grows thick with presence. It is as though the world itself is inhaling, waiting for something to happen, but the happening never comes. It only continues. The breath of Eywa is not a cycle, it is continuity. There is no start, no end, only flow. Death does not break it. Life does not create it. Both are merely exchanges of energy, the same current moving from one form to another. When the Na'vi connect to the Tree of Souls, they don't speak to ancestors, they dissolve into them. They enter the current and are carried by it, like drops of rain returning to the ocean. But what is this ocean made of? Science once called it a biological network, the neural link connecting all flora and fauna across Pandora. A planet-wide system of electrical impulses, faster than thought, older than language. But perhaps it is more than that. Perhaps this network is not only the body of Pandora, but its mind. The field that connects all consciousness might not simply transmit memory, it may dream. Imagine a dream, so vast that even the dreamer forgets they are dreaming. That is Eywa, the dream of life, so complete that every part of it believes itself awake. And within that dream, every breath matters. The wind that passes through the forest carries information, not metaphorically, but literally. The spores that drift in light, the bioluminescent glow that pulses in the dark. Even the vibrations of sound are forms of communication within the great pattern. When the creatures sing at night, they are not just calling to each other, they are completing a circuit. Their voices sustain the pulse, reminding the world to keep breathing. For Eywa is not eternal by default. She endures because everything participates in her endurance. The Na'vi know this, though they do not say it aloud. They live it. When they hunt, they thank. When they take, they give. It is not religion, it is maintenance. The act of keeping the breath moving. In the distant places where humans once built their machines, the balance trembled. The metal, the noise, the hunger, it broke the rhythm. But Pandora healed. Not through war or vengeance, but through memory. The forest remembered itself, the spores returned. The light grew back, the breath resumed. What the Na'vi call Eywa may not only belong to Pandora, the breath could be universal, the same frequency that flows through stars and atoms alike. Every world may have its own name for it, its own rhythm of awareness, its own way of dreaming itself alive. Eywa might be the face of something infinite, the way the cosmos listens to itself through living worlds. Perhaps that is why humans were drawn here, not to take but to remember. They sought resources but found reverence. They sought to dominate life but were instead absorbed into it. Pandora did not reject them, it mirrored them. It showed them what they had forgotten, that to exist is to be connected, that to breathe is to belong. Even now, as the winds move across the endless plains and the oceans glow beneath their moons, the breath continues. Every wave that crashes, every tree that sways, every creature that dreams, all are notes in Eywa's exhale. And somewhere, beneath the hum of it all, there is stillness. The pause between breaths where everything listens, waiting for the next heartbeat of the world. It comes slowly, then all at once. The inhale of light, the whisper of renewal, the soft pulse that never truly stops. Eywa breathes again, and with her, the universe remembers how to be alive. Light never truly leaves Pandora. Even when night descends, the forests do not darken. They breathe in colour, glowing from within, as if the planet itself refuses to forget what illumination feels like. Every leaf, every stone, every creature carries a pulse of radiance beneath its surface. To walk among them is to move through memory made visible, each hue a fragment of the world's collective recollection. The Na'vi call this the memory of Eywa, the light that remains after the sun sets. It is not fire or reflection, but something deeper. It is as if the very energy of existence, the same current that binds all things, glows softly in gratitude for being alive. When one touches the bioluminescent roots or the luminous plants that line the paths, they can feel a faint vibration, like the quiet murmur of a thought remembering itself. The memory of light is not bound by time. It carries the imprint of everything that has ever happened on Pandora, every birth, every izongme, every breath taken and released back into the world. Each photon seems to hold a record of the moment it illuminated, storing the experience in a field of awareness too vast for minds to contain. The forest does not just glow, it remembers. This remembering is not personal, not individual, it is collective. When the Na'vi connect their cues to the sacred trees, they do not simply communicate with ancestors, they dissolve into light, merging with the network of memory that spans the planet. They describe it as becoming part of the song, the great harmony that contains all voices. To be connected to Eywa is to exist as light does, everywhere, without boundary, aware without abundant separation. Scientists once tried to map this phenomenon, to trace its energy patterns and assign meaning to its pulse. They discovered rhythms, yes, waves of bioluminescence that match the brain frequencies of living beings. They found proof that the forests respond to emotion, that plants and creatures share energy through invisible threads. But what they failed to understand was that their measurements were only outlines. What they were seeing was the surface of thought itself, the outer layer of consciousness too vast to quantify. The memory of light is not stored in the world. The world is the storage. Every root, every drop of water, every creature's heartbeat contributes to the great archive of being. Light is the language through which this archive speaks. When it glows, it is not simply reacting, it is retelling. The forest, the ocean, the air, all are storytellers, whispering to one another across distance and time through pulses of luminescence. To those who listen, the glow carries feeling. A certain blue might hold the vibration of calm, a faint violet the memory of sorrow, a bright gold the resonance of awakening. The Na'vi read these hues not as colours but as moods of the planet. They can tell when the forest rejoices and when it grieves. They move with reverence, aware that every step leaves an impression in the light's memory. And beneath all of it there is something older still, a radiance that never dims, no matter what shadows pass. This is the deep memory, the light that predates form, the same energy that once sparked the first song of the universe. On Pandora it manifests as beauty. In other worlds it may appear as gravity, time, or breath. But it is all the same essence, awareness choosing to shine. When night covers Pandora, the air glows brightest, the boundaries between land and sky blur, and the creatures of the forest move through ribbons of colour that shift with every motion. It feels less like a planet and more like a dream, breathing in rhythm with itself. In those moments, the Na'vi say that the world is remembering creation. The light is not decoration, it is memory relived. If one were to watch closely, they would see the patterns of this glow follow invisible lines, pathways of energy connecting every part of the planet. The patterns move like constellations brought to Earth, mapping not the stars but the pulse of consciousness beneath the soil. Every flicker is a heartbeat. Every shimmer is a thought. The entire world hums with remembrance. Even the sea glows. Beneath its surface, waves of blue light roll like the breath of the planet itself. Each tide carries energy from one life form to another, spreading the memory of light across distances unseen. The ocean is the mirror of the forest. One reflects above, the other below. Both are extensions of Eywa's endless awareness, two lungs breathing the same rhythm. To those who open themselves to it, this light can teach. Not through language, but through feeling. It does not explain, it shows. The Na'vi who connect with the sacred trees emerge changed, not because they here have learned something new, but because they have remembered something ancient. They remember that life is not linear, that death is not departure, that memory is not past. All are the same motion of light through form. The memory of light is the proof that nothing is ever lost. When something ends, its brightness does not wust und vanish, it dissil. It becomes part of the ambient glow that sustains the world. Even the pain of destruction becomes music once it is absorbed by the light. The forest glows not despite what it has endured, but because of it. It transforms every wound into beauty, every echo into harmony. Perhaps this is why Pandora feels alive even in silence, because its silence is not emptiness. It is full of voices too soft to hear, tones that vibrate beyond the range of perception. The light carries them, patient and eternal, shining with the knowledge that everything seen is part of something unseen. The Na'vi understand this as truth. To them, to live in balance is to live in alignment with light. They walk slowly, speak softly, act deliberately. They do not rush, for they know the world remembers every movement. Each gesture, each sound, each thought ripples through Eywa's luminous field, joining the collective story written not in words but in colour. And so, when night turns to morning and the first beams of sunlight pierce through the canopy, they do not see it as a new day. They see it as continuation, light remembering itself through another form. Because light never dies, it changes shape, it passes through shadow and emerges brighter, carrying everything it has touched. The glow beneath Pandora's forest floor is the proof, the past and the present holding hands through radiance. The world shines not because it musts, but because it remembers how. The memory of light endures, breathing through every colour, every pulse, every heartbeat that still listens to the rhythm of Eywa. And somewhere deep in that rhythm, the flame of all worlds flickers, waiting to be remembered again. Beneath Pandora's glowing skies, the oceans stretch endlessly vast and alive, moving with a rhythm older than memory itself. They are not simply bodies of water, they are consciousness in motion, the dreaming mind of the planet. Where the forests breathe and the mountains hum, the oceans dream. Their waves are the pulse of thought, their tides the slow turning of awareness. Every current carries not just salt and life, but story, whispered fragments of the world's collective imagination. When light touches the surface, it lingers, absorbed, then released in slow pulses that shimmer like heartbeat. This is Eywa's dreaming state, the fluid counterpart to the forest's waking song. While the trees remember, the oceans imagine. They hold within their depth the infinite variations of what could be. Each ripple, each reflection, each shifting colour is an idea made visible. the planet dreaming itself anew with every wave. At night the sea glows from within, the bioluminescent currents drift like rivers of starlight beneath the surface. To stand on the shore and watch them move is to witness thought flowing freely, unbound by form. The glow ripples outward, touching the horizon, carrying patterns of memory that stretch across continents. What the forest knows, the sea dreams. What the sea imagines, the forest becomes. The two are never apart. Breath and dream, rhythm and rest, consciousness and possibility. The Na'vi who live by the coast understand this balance deeply. They do not worship the ocean as separate from Eywa, but as her sleeping face. When they swim, they enter her mind. When they dive beneath the surface, they move through her thoughts. The deeper they go, the slower the light becomes, until it stops moving altogether, soft, blue, infinite. In that stillness, they say, you can feel the heartbeat of the world, not as sound, but as pressure, as weight, as presence. The ocean holds everything. It accepts without judgment, transforms without resistance. What falls into it is not lost. It becomes part of the current. The waves are memory in motion, carrying fragments of what once was and reshaping them into what will be. When a creature dies, its body dissolves, but its rhythm remains, absorbed into the flow. Life is not taken, it is redistributed. In the ocean's depths, time behaves differently. The past and the present drift together, indistinguishable. The Na'vi speak of this as the great below, the place where moments merge, where thought and memory intertwine so tightly that they become indistinct. It is said that even Eywa dreams here, dreaming of the next world, the next dawn, the next evolution of her own being. To understand the ocean is to understand change. Nothing within it remains fixed, and yet everything within it endures. Its constancy lies in motion. Its peace lies in surrender. The tides do not resist the pull of moons or the shifting of stars, they flow with them, perfectly synchronized. The ocean teaches that harmony does not mean stillness. It means movement without struggle. Sometimes when storms rise and the sea roars against itself, it seems that the dream has turned to chaos. But even that fury has rhythm. The thunder of waves is the sound of renewal, the deep cleansing of the world's breath. The surface may break, the currents may churn, but beneath it all the calm endures. The sea never loses itself, not even in rage. The turmoil is just another way of dreaming, and within those storms light takes on a new form, lightning beneath water, flashes of awareness illuminating the dark. The Na'vi say this is Eywa remembering herself after forgetting. Every storm is a moment of rediscovery, the dream jolting awake to recognize what it is. When the waters settle again, they shine brighter, the glow richer, the rhythm deeper. Each dream refines the next. The ocean's song is not sung in words or melody. It moves in frequencies too low to hear, resonating through the bones of mountains and the roots of trees. Sometimes, when all other sounds fade, you can feel it, the hum beneath silence, like the memory of a lullaby you once knew but cannot name. It calls not to the ears, but to the soul, reminding all living things that they were once water, that they still are. Because the ocean is not separate from life, it is the origin of life remembering itself. Every droplet that moves through a creature's veins, every tear shed, every cloud that rains, all return eventually to the sea. The same molecules that danced in the tides of ancient worlds now flow through the hearts of new beings. The cycle is endless, seamless, perfect. The Na'vi believe that when they die, their bodies return to the forest, but their dreams return to the sea. It is said that the ocean gathers the dreams of all who have lived, layering them in its depths like sediment. Over time, the dreams become currents, and the currents become waves, and those waves shape the shores of new ages. The sea is both archive and artist, shaping the physical world from the patterns of memory. Even the sky seems to mirror it. The clouds, drifting in slow motion, carry traces of the sea's reflection. Soft blues, silver veins, luminous mist. Rain falls like returning thought, and rivers carve their way back home, singing the song of reunion as they merge once more with the tide. Every drop that falls is an echo of the first breath Eywa ever took. At night, when the moons rise and the light settles over the surface, the distinction between ocean and sky disappears. It becomes impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. This, the Na'vi say, is the true face of Eywa, the endless horizon where dream and reality are one, where the above and the below finally meet in perfect reflection. And when the world sleeps, the ocean dreams for it. It imagines the next sunrise, the next forest, the next song. It does not dream because it must, but because dreaming is how it breathes. The dream itself is creation. Beneath the surface, deeper than the glow, deeper than the lightless trenches where even thought grows still, something continues to pulse, a soft vibration that never ends. It is not the heart of the ocean, but the memory of every heart that has ever beat. The sound is faint but eternal, the rhythm of connection that binds everything together. The sea dreams, and in dreaming it creates. It creates not out of need, but out of love. The same love that moves through the forests, the winds, the stars. The same love that breathes through Eywa, that hums through every creature, that glows in every drop of light. The sea dreams and the universe listens. And somewhere in that still infinite depth where thought becomes peace and peace becomes motion, Eywa breathes again, her exhale spreading through the currents, her song rising softly through the waters, her dream turning once more toward dawn. The ocean does not end, it only changes shape. Above the endless ocean, the sky of Pandora stretches like a second sea, vast, fluid, alive. It mirrors the waters below, moving with the same quiet rhythm, but in reverse. Where the ocean holds memory in depth, the sky holds it in light. Every current of wind, every shimmer of cloud carries a trace of what has been. The sky too remembers. It remembers every sound that has ever risen, every song sung to the heavens, every cry, every prayer, every whisper that escaped into its expanse. None of it is lost. The air keeps everything. The Na'vi say the sky is Eywa's breath in motion. The forests and the oceans are her body, but the air is her voice. It is through the wind that she speaks, through the rhythm of storms that she feels, through the endless blue that she dreams outward. The clouds that drift across the horizon are not just water or vapour, they are the slow exhalations of a living planet. When the Na'vi stand atop the floating mountains, surrounded by mists that shimmer in sunlight, they feel closer to the memory of the sky. The air there hums, charged with energy invisible yet undeniable. It moves around them like a tide of thought. The wind is not random. It flows with purpose, weaving patterns through the open spaces between worlds. When they spread their arms into it, they are not touching emptiness. They are touching consciousness, the same current that flows through the ocean, now moving freely through the vastness above. To the Na'vi, flight is not a means of travel, it is communion. When they bond with their Ikran and soar through the open air, they are not defying gravity, they are surrendering to memory. The wind beneath their wings carries not only lift but awareness, each gust a reminder that they are part of something immeasurable. As they glide through the currents, they move through the mind of Eywa herself. Every turn, every dive, every climb is a sentence written in the language of air. The sky remembers the world as the ocean dreams it. It knows what has been and what will come, because it holds the echoes of both. The storms that gather on the horizon are not signs of anger, but acts of recollection. Lightning flashes like neurons firing in a great mind. Thunder rolls like memory speaking across distance. Rain falls not as sorrow, but as renewal. The sky's way of returning its thoughts to the earth. The Na'vi call this cycle the Great Conversation. They believe the sky and the sea are always speaking, trading stories through wind and tide. The rain is the sky's memory returning to the ocean. The mist is the ocean's dream rising to the sky. Each feeds the other, keeping balance, ensuring that nothing ever fades entirely. Even when storms rage or clouds darken, the two remain in harmony, two halves of one eternal breath. But there is something deeper hidden in the sky's memory, something older than wind, older even than light. It is the echo of the first breath Eywa ever took, the first movement that stirred the stillness of the void. This memory exists in every breeze, every gust, every quiet shift of air across skin. The wind that moves through Pandora today is the same wind that once moved through the moment of creation. The same current that shaped the first clouds still flows through the open spaces of the world, unbroken by time. When the Na'vi sleep beneath the stars, they listen to that wind. They say that in its whisper, one can hear the oldest song, the sound of life being born. It is not loud, it is not even constant. It appears in the quiet moments between thought, between heartbeats, between breaths. It moves softly through the leaves, through the glowing vines, through the still air of the night. To hear it is to remember what it feels like to belong to everything. The sky does not forget the stars either. It holds them in its vastness like memories suspended in time. They are the bright scars of creation, remnants of the first fires, still burning, still sending their light across infinity. To look up is to see history moving toward you, light from ages gone still crossing the darkness. Every star is a memory travelling through time, carrying stories from worlds beyond reach. Sometimes the Na'vi say the stars are not distant at all, that they are simply reflections of life upon other worlds, lives lived elsewhere, dreams dreamed in other skies. They believe the light of each star is a memory of some other being remembering its own world, and that Eywa, in her vastness, connects them all. The same breath that moves through that Pandora moves through every star, every planet, every atom of the cosmos. The sky is not boundary, it is bridge. To fly through it, to feel its cold wind and shifting currents, is to touch eternity. The Na'vi do not fear the heights. They embrace them because they know the air holds them. Every gust is trust returned. Every fall is faith in balance. They live as though gravity is not pull but promise, the assurance that what rises will always find its way back to rest. When the sun sets and the last beams of gold stretch across the horizon, the sky glows not with ending but with continuity. The blues fade into violets, and the first stars awaken, their light trembling against the vast breath of the world. The Na'vi gather and watch, not as spectators, but as participants. They see the sky changing and recognize themselves in its motion, brief, beautiful, always becoming. The sky remembers everything, the first flight of a creature, the last whisper of a storm, the laughter that drifted too high to return. It keeps it all gently, like wind carrying pollen spreading memory through space and time. When dawn returns, that memory becomes motion again, rising with the warmth, filling the air with colour. The cycle continues, breath, wind, rain, dream, memory, silence, each part inseparable from the other. And when the clouds thin and the stars fade once more into the blue, the world awakens beneath them. Forests glowing, oceans breathing, life continuing, unaware that the sky above is watching, remembering, loving. For that is what the sky is, love stretched infinite, awareness made visible. It does not move for itself, but for everything beneath and beyond it. The wind that touches the trees is the same that caresses the waves, the same that moves through the hearts of all living things. The sky remembers, because remembering is what keeps it alive. And as the light rises again, soft and endless, Pandora breathes as one, the sea dreaming below, the sky remembering above, and between them, the quiet pulse of Eywa, forever listening, forever awake. Beneath the forests and oceans and skies, deeper than roots and older than rivers, Pandora's true rhythm continues to beat. It is not a sound one can hear with the ear, nor a vibration that instruments can record. It is a movement that lives in the silence between heartbeats, a steady, eternal pulse that keeps the planet alive. The Na'vi call it the heart of Eywa. Scientists once called it the biosignal. But names do not capture its truth. It is the planet's memory, its awareness, its song. Every world has rhythm, but Pandora's is the most awake. It moves through every living thing, through sap, through blood, through air and light. Even the mountains hum with it. The floating rocks that drift through the mist above the valleys are not miracles of magnetism. They are instruments of resonance. The planet's pulse lifts them, holds them, and carries them through the air like thoughts travelling through a dream. If one could see it, truly see it, the pulse would appear as waves of light flowing through everything, connecting the smallest seed to the largest beast. Each being on Pandora is a note within that vast symphony, vibrating in harmony with the whole. When one creature falls silent, the music does not stop. The rest of the song shifts to fill the space it leaves behind. Nothing is ever truly lost. The Na'vi live by this rhythm. Their lives are structured around the heartbeat of the world, the rise and fall of tides, the cycle of moons, the breathing of the forest. To them, time is not linear but circular. The pulse moves in loops, in patterns that always return. They feel it beneath their feet when they walk, hear it in the rustling of leaves, taste it in the rain. They do not measure their days by hours, but by rhythm, by the slowing and quickening of the great heartbeat that sustains them. To connect with Eywa is to attune to this pulse. When the Na'vi join their cues with the Tree of Souls or the sacred plants that bridge all life, they do not step into another realm, they tune themselves to the frequency of the planet's heart. In that moment, individuality dissolves. Their pulse becomes one with Eywa's. They feel the rhythm that moves through everything, the same pulse that beats in the ocean's waves and in the cloud's drift. And for those few moments, they understand what life truly is. The endless exchange between stillness and motion, between self and whole. The pulse carries more than energy. It carries information, an ancient communication system older than language. Every tremor that moves through the ground, every vibration that travels through the roots, carries meaning. Plants feel it first. Then the animals respond, then the wind shifts, then the light follows. Each movement triggers another, like notes in a song that never ends. The pulse does not dictate, it suggests. It whispers through creation, guiding it gently toward balance. Sometimes when the balance wavers, when too much is taken, or when pain ripples through the land, the pulse grows louder. The air thickens, the sky darkens, the world exhales through storms. This is not punishment but correction, the planet retuning itself, restoring harmony where it has been broken. The Na'vi know to listen for this change. They sense when the rhythm tightens, when the forest's song sharpens with warning. To ignore it would be to lose alignment, to fall out of step with life itself. The pulse is everywhere. It is in the footsteps of the creatures that roam the plains, in the low call of the great beasts that swim beneath the seas. Even the smallest insects move in time with it, their fluttering wings echoing the beat of Eywa's heart. When night falls and the world glows blue, the rhythm becomes visible, light pulsing through the ground in soft waves, travelling outward like ripples across still water. Each flash is a breath, each breath is a promise. For the Na'vi, meditation is not escape from this rhythm, but immersion within it. When they sit beneath the sacred trees or float in the quiet water, they do not seek silence. They seek resonance. They align their breathing, their hearts, their thoughts with the world's rhythm until there is no distinction between the two. They describe it as disappearing, not fading away, but blending so completely that I and we no longer exist. There is only pulse. The pulse of Pandora is not unique to her. It is the same rhythm that moves through all creation, the same heartbeat that began with the first vibration of the universe. What makes Pandora different is that she remembers. Most worlds forget their origins as they evolve, their rhythms drowned beneath noise and motion. But Pandora remembers every note of the first song. She keeps it alive through Eywa, through the web that links all life. Her pulse is the original rhythm, unbroken, undiminished, still singing beneath the stars. It is said that the pulse slows when Eywa dreams. During these times, the forest grows quiet, the wind stills, and the glow of the plants deepens to a steady waiting blue. The Na'vi call this the sleeping of the world. They know not to fear it. The sleep of Eywa is the moment between breaths, the pause before renewal. The world is not dying, it is listening to itself, and when it wakes, the rhythm begins again, stronger, fuller, wisely. Even humans in their short time upon Pandora felt the pulse without understanding it. They mistook it for a biological phenomenon, a curiosity of energy. But when they stood beneath the glowing trees or swam in the light of the ocean at night, their hearts unknowingly aligned to it. For a brief moment, they too were part of the rhythm, their breaths syncing with the world's, their fears dissolving into stillness. They didn't know it then, but Eywa welcomed them too. Because the pulse does not discriminate. It does not separate. It only connects. It accepts everything, even those who do not yet understand it. The pulse of Pandora is not just the sound of life. It is the awareness of being alive, the planet's own recognition of its existence, echoing through every form it has created. To live within it is to be known completely without condition. And when the Na'vi gather beneath the Tree of Souls at night and the roots glow softly around them, they feel it again, that steady familiar rhythm, deep and eternal. It moves through their veins, through the earth beneath them, through the stars above. It is not just Eywa's heart they feel, it is the heart of everything beating quietly in perfect time. The pulse continues, infinite, unbroken. Every light, every sound, every breath moves with it. It is the sound of the universe remembering itself. The same pulse that began before time, still echoing through the blue forests of Pandora, still alive in the hearts of all who listen. The forest of Pandora does not stand still. It breathes. Every leaf, every branch, every root is part of a vast body that moves with the slow rhythm of life itself. The pulse that beats beneath the planet's surface finds its echo here, rising through the soil, climbing into trunks, flowing outward through veins of sap and air. The trees hum softly, each one resonating with a different tone, forming a great choir of awareness. Together they are the voice of Eywa, the spirit of the forest, the living memory of the world. To walk through this forest is to step into the mind of the planet. The air is alive with whispers, not just sound but feeling. Every vibration carries intention. The wind that moves through the leaves is not random. It speaks in rhythm and a gentle language older than speech. The Na'vi have learned to hear it not with their ears, but with their whole being. They know that silence is never empty here. It is filled with presence. The forest watches. It does not judge or command, it observes, always aware. The Na'vi can feel its gaze upon them, not as scrutiny, but as companionship. To them, Eywa is not an invisible deity, not a god hidden beyond reach. She is here, tangible, breathing, alive in every tendril of moss, in every glowing vine, in the soft luminescence that lingers in the mist at night. When the light fades and the trees begin to glow, the spirit awakens more fully. The forest becomes a cathedral of light, roots illuminated beneath the ground, canopies flickering like constellations above. The Na'vi call this time the opening of the eyes. They say the forest sees itself in these moments, its awareness folding inward and outward simultaneously, like breath turning to thought. Each flicker of light is an idea, each shimmer a memory rising to the surface. The creatures that move through this glowing labyrinth are not strangers to the spirit. They are extensions of it. Even predators and prey are bound by understanding, playing their roles in the rhythm of balance. When one life ends, another begins. The exchange is constant, gentle, without waste. To the Na'vi, this is not nature's cruelty, but its compassion, the spirit reminding them that life feeds upon itself so that it may continue. In the deepest parts of the forest, where the light thickens and the air hums with unseen energy, lies the place the Na'vi call the Heart Grove. It is said that Eywa's awareness is strongest here, that the roots of the Tree of Souls extend into every direction from this centre. Those who enter the grove feel a change immediately. The air grows denser, charged with memory. The sounds of insects and leaves fade into a low continuous hum, a vibration felt in the bones. It is the forest breathing, the spirit listening. When a Na'vi connects to the roots here, their mind expands beyond self. They see visions, not of the future, but of understanding. They feel the thoughts of the animals, the sorrow of dying trees, the joy of new growth. They feel the pain of imbalance and the peace of restoration. Through this communion, they do not gain power, they gain perspective. The spirit does not give answers, it gives empathy. It allows one to feel the world as it feels itself, whole, endless, awake. The humans who once came to Pandora could not grasp this. They saw the forest as resource, as matter to be studied and used. They walked through the spirit's body without hearing its song. Their machines drowned out its voice. Yet even they could not escape its pull. Those who stayed long enough began to dream differently. The colours seemed brighter, the air heavier with meaning. They felt eyes upon them, though they saw no one. Some said they heard whispers in the wind, others felt the trees breathing beside them. The forest, ever patient, was teaching them to listen again, because the spirit of the forest is not vengeance, it is forgiveness. It does not destroy, it transforms. It waits, always open, always ready to reabsorb what has strayed from harmony. Even destruction becomes renewal. Where trees fall, new ones rise. Where ground is scarred, light returns. The spirit wastes nothing, not pain, not loss, not time. Everything is used. Everything is healed. The Na'vi understand that they too are only temporary forms of the forest's will. They are its awareness made flesh, thoughts walking, breathing, feeling. They do not claim dominion, they claim belonging. Every ceremony they perform, every song they sing, every hunt they take part in, is an offering back to the spirit that sustains them. They do not worship the forest, they participate in it. At night, when the bioluminescent trees shimmer and the forest glows like a dream painted across the world, the Na'vi gather in silence. They place their hands on the ground and close their eyes. Their breathing slows until it matches the pulse beneath the soil. They can feel it there, the steady rhythm of life continuing without pause. In that moment, all boundaries vanish. They are the forest is them. This is the truth the spirit teaches, that separation is illusion. Every life, every symptom of sound, every breath is part of one great consciousness, constantly creating and recreating itself. Even death is only transition, the spirit shifting form, moving energy from one vessel to another, never ending, only changing. The Na'vi have words for this, but they prefer not to use them as divide. Experience unites, and so they live by the rhythm instead, by the heartbeat that never stops, by the pulse that threads through everything. When the dawn comes and sunlight pierces the canopy, the forest hums softly in response. The light passes through layers of mist, scattering into rainbows that move across leaves and streams. The spirit wakes fully again, glowing in every colour, every shadow, every sound. The creatures stir, the trees sway, and the cycle continues. Breath, rhythm, renewal. The forest never truly sleeps, it rests in motion. It listens, it remembers, it forgives, it loves. And in every glowing petal, every whisper of wind, every sigh of rain upon the leaves, the spirit of Eywa continues, not as God above, but as life within. The pulse that began before time beats quietly beneath the roots, moving through all things. The forest breathes, the world listens, and Eywa, eternal and awake, smiles within every leaf that glows. Every world speaks, though few are quiet enough to listen. On Pandora, the language of life is everywhere, woven into wind, light, and motion. It is not made of words or symbols, not carried by mouths or written by hands. It moves through rhythm, through vibration, through the subtle transfer of energy that passes from one living thing to another. To those who know how to listen, the planet speaks in colour and sound, in breath and stillness. The Na'vi have always understood this. They do not study language, they embody it. Every gesture they make, every note they sing, every movement of their bodies is part of a living dialogue. When they walk through the forest, they do not speak to the trees, yet the trees answer. When they swim through the ocean, the waves respond. When they breathe, the air shifts in recognition. Communication is not an act here. It is existence itself. To hear this language, one must stop searching for words. Words are walls. They divide experience into fragments. Pandora's speech has no boundaries. It is seamless, flowing from sound to silence, from movement to stillness, from life to death. The hum of insects, the rustling of leaves, the distant calls of creatures, all blend into one continuous voice. Even the pauses are part of the message, the spaces between sound carrying meaning as deep as the notes themselves. The scientists who once came to this world brought their machines to record what they called bioacoustic patterns. They charted the frequencies of the forest, the pulse of the soil, the signals sent through the neural roots beneath the ground. They found patterns too complex for chance, harmonies that aligned across miles of landscape. But they did not understand that what they were measuring was not random noise, it was syntax. It was conversation. They were eavesdropping on the planet itself. The Na'vi do not need machines to know this. Their ancestors taught them that language began not with sound, but with awareness. Long before mouths could form words, the world was already speaking, in the sway of the trees, in the rhythm of the tides, in the flash of light across the sky. They believed that Eywa's first creation was not life, but communication, the act of one thing acknowledging another, of awareness recognizing awareness. From that single exchange, all existence was born, and so every living thing carries a piece of that original dialogue. The trees speak through light, the oceans through rhythm, the air through tone. The creatures sing not for survival, but for participation. The call of a flying beast, the chirp of an insect, the heartbeat of a hunter, all are lines in the same endless poem. The Na'vi have a word for this: tsahelu, the bond. To them it is more than connection, it is understanding made physical. When they join their cues with another being, they do not merely share energy, they share meaning. They feel what the other feels, know what it knows, hear what it cannot say. It is language beyond language, pure empathy, direct communion. Through tsahelu, they learn that no voice is ever alone. Every sound carries echoes of others, just as every heart beats in rhythm with countless unseen hearts. The forest's hum is not background noise, it is chorus. The ground beneath their feet is not still, it resonates, carrying vibrations across distances, turning the entire planet into an instrument of communication. The language of life does not need translation, because it does not belong to the mind. It belongs to the whole being. It is felt through the skin, through the bones, through the spaces between thoughts. It speaks in the body's quiet recognition of another presence, the warmth of light on skin, the cool of rain upon leaves, the pull of gravity itself. Everything is conversation, constant and effortless. When the Na'vi sing, they do not perform, they respond. Their songs are not inventions but reflections, echoes of the world's own melody, translated through voice and emotion. They sing to the trees, and the trees answer in wind. They sing to the sky, and the clouds shift. The song is both call and reply, both question and answer. It never ends, it only changes shape. Even silence speaks. When the forest grows still before a storm, that quiet is not emptiness, it is anticipation. It is the breath drawn before the next phrase. When night falls and the bioluminescent glow spreads across the forest floor, that light is language too, the visual equivalent of sound. It pulses in waves, travelling through the roots, carrying messages of harmony, of danger, of renewal. The entire ecosystem converses in light and motion, every flash a syllable, every colour a tone. To the Na'vi, learning this language is not a task, but a remembering. They say all beings once spoke it, but most have forgotten how. Humanity, in its noise and speed, forgot the rhythm of silence. The forest never forgot. The world never stopped speaking, people simply stopped listening. On Pandora, listening is survival, but more than that, it is belonging. To hear the world is to know you are part of it. Sometimes, during rituals beneath the Tree of Voices, the Na'vi join together in perfect harmony. Their hands pressed into the glowing roots. The air hums with sound, light ripples through the ground, and their individual voices merge into one vast tone. It is said that in these moments, Eywa hears them directly. But perhaps it is not Eywa who listens. Perhaps it is the world itself, recognizing its own voice through theirs. The language of life has no end, because life has no final word. Even when destruction comes, or when trees fall, when fires burn, when silence seems absolute, the conversation continues. The ashes feed new roots, the soil hums with renewal, and the pulse beneath the surface carries on. Loss becomes a new sentence. Death becomes punctuation. The message endures. Every dawn the language begins again. The wind stirs first, whispering through leaves. Then the insects join, then the birds, then the deep calls of unseen creatures rising from the shadows. Together they weave the morning into existence, each voice filling the spaces left by another. The forest speaks itself awake. The planet composes itself anew. This is the language of life. Endless, formless, perfect. It asks for nothing but participation. To live is to speak it. To breathe is to understand it. And as the Na'vi walk once more through the glowing paths of their world, they hear it everywhere, in the pulse of their hearts, in the shimmer of air, in the stillness between sounds. It says only one thing again and again, through every tone, every colour, every breath: you belong. High above the glowing forests and the singing oceans, the sky of Pandora stretches in all directions, vast, blue, alive. To the Na'vi it is not simply space, it is dream. It is the breath of Eywa turned upward, a reflection of the soul that remembers what it means to fly. The sky is not empty. It is filled with movement, with thought, with consciousness that drifts on unseen currents. It is here, among the floating mountains and endless clouds, that the dreamers of the sky live, beings who have learned to exist within freedom itself. Flight is not an escape on Pandora, it is communion. When a Na'vi bonds with an Ikran and takes to the air, they are not conquering the wind, they are joining it. The motion of wings, the tilt of air, the rise and fall of pressure, all of it forms part of a greater rhythm, the same pulse that moves through forest and ocean. The sky does not resist them, it accepts them. To fly is to remember the world's original movement, the slow turning of energy into awareness. The dreamers of the sky are those who live closest to this truth. They are the riders, the watchers, the messengers of the wind. They spend their lives above the canopy, dwelling in the high rocks and floating peaks that drift like islands through the mist. To them, the horizon is not limit, but home. They understand the language of air as clearly as others hear the pulse of earth. Every gust has meaning, every current carries story. The air itself is their companion. At dawn, when the first rays of sunlight break across the clouds, the dreamers rise with it. They launch from the cliffs, their Ikran unfolding into the light like extensions of their own souls. The air rushes past their faces, cool and alive, filling every sense. For a moment, they are weightless, neither rising nor falling, simply suspended in the awareness of being. In that stillness, they say, one can hear Eywa breathing through the sky. The clouds below roll and shift like oceans of thought, their tops glowing gold and white. The world below is hidden from sight, but not from feeling. Through the bond of Tsahelu, they still sense the heartbeat of the forest, the hum of the planet's pulse. The dreamers move between the two, between the grounded rhythm of earth and the infinite sense of the sky. They are bridges, connecting the tangible and the ethereal. In the air, time loses meaning. The flight is a meditation, a conversation between self and world. Every turn of the Ikran's wings adjusts to unseen patterns of wind, guided not by control but by harmony. The rider does not command, they surrender. The air carries them where they need to go. The dreamers have a saying, only those who let go can rise. The sky holds memories too. The winds that move through Pandora are ancient travellers. They have crossed oceans, touched mountains, brushed against the faces of countless beings before drifting upward into new shapes. Each current is a story continuing. When the dreamers close their eyes and let the wind carry them, they feel those memories flowing through. Laughter, sorrow, birth, song. The air remembers everything it has ever touched. The dreamers have learned to listen to these whispers. When storms gather, they can feel the shift in the air before a single cloud forms. They know that lightning is not anger but memory, the sky's way of recalling the first fires of creation. When thunder rolls, they hear not destruction but renewal. The rain that follows is a language too, water returning from the sea, completing the eternal exchange between above and below. Sometimes at night, when the two moons rise and the stars burn bright, the dreamers rest on the peaks of the floating mountains. The air there is thin and pure, the silence deep enough to hear one's own heartbeat echoing back from the horizon. They watch the lights of the forest below shimmer like constellations upon the land. The difference between sky and earth disappears. The world becomes one continuous expanse of glowing life. In that stillness, they say, the dreamers dream for Eywa. Their sleep is not ordinary. It is lucid, open, shed. The wind moves through them as they rest, carrying their thoughts into the sky. The Na'vi believe that these dreams become part of the planet's weather, that the winds and clouds are shaped in part by the minds of those who sleep with open hearts. The dreamers do not control the air, they converse with it. Their dreams are its currents, their emotions its storms. To dream in the sky is to surrender to infinity. There are no walls, no ceilings, no boundaries, only endless light and motion. The dreamers know that freedom is not absence of connection, but deeper connection still. To be free is to trust the wind, to trust the rhythm that moves through all things. The higher they fly, the more they realize that they are not separate from the world they left below. They are carrying it with them. When dawn returns, they descend again through the clouds, gliding toward the forest canopy that glows faintly in the morning mist. The trees stretch upward, their leaves trembling with light, as if reaching to greet the returning sky-dwellers. The dreamers feel the transition, from the cool stillness of the air to the warm pulse of the forest, from expansion to grounding. But the connection does not break. The pulse of earth and the breath of sky are the same rhythm, simply expressed in different forms. The dreamers are not above the world, they are within it, moving through one of its many layers. They know that the same current that lifts them also sustains the oceans, feeds the fires, and stirs the seeds beneath the soil. The wind that carries them upward is the same that spreads life below. Nothing is ever truly separate. Every motion is part of one continuous dialogue between heaven and earth, and when the day ends and the sunset bleeds across the horizon in waves of red and violet, the dreamers rest again on their cliffs, watching the light dissolve into night. The stars shimmer above, reflections of the glowing forest below. Between them lies the air, invisible, infinite, and sacred. It hums softly, filled with everything that has ever been said, ever sung, ever felt. The dreamers close their eyes and breathe it in. Each inhale carries the memory of oceans, each exhale releases the memory of clouds. They have become part of the cycle, part of the eternal rhythm that turns and turns without end. The sky dreams through them, and they dream through the sky. And somewhere within that boundless motion, where light meets air and thought meets silence, Eywa breathes again. The eternal pulse continuing, soft and steady, carrying every dream ever dreamed toward the horizon of forever. Everything on Pandora moves toward balance. Every leaf that falls, every creature that feeds, every current of air that drifts through the forests and skies, plays its part in maintaining a harmony so vast that no single being can ever perceive it fully. Balance is not perfection, it is rhythm. It is the ceaseless adjustment between giving and taking, rising and falling, breathing in and out. It is the pulse of Eywa translated into motion, into the everyday miracle of existence. The Na'vi understand this not as belief but as experience. They feel it in their blood, in the way the ground responds to each step, in the timing of the tides and the glow of the trees. To live on Pandora is to live inside a living equation, one that constantly resolves itself, never fixed, never still, but always in harmony. Every imbalance, every disruption is met with correction. The planet does not punish, it restores. The balance is everywhere. It exists in the way light filters through the canopy, giving the life to the plants while leaving space for the shadows to cool the ground. It exists in the predators that keep the grazers from overfeeding, and in the insects that break down decay into new soil. Even death serves balance. When one life ends, its energy returns to the world, nourishing new growth. Nothing vanishes, everything changes. To the Na'vi, this cycle is sacred. They see death not as ending, but as exchange, the moment when energy shifts form and purpose. When they hunt, they do not take without giving. They offer thanks to the creature, acknowledging its place in the greater pattern. The act of gratitude completes the circle. Without it, the exchange would be broken. To take without awareness is to create silence in the song, and the world itself begins to ache. There are moments when balance falters, when too much is consumed, or when fear spreads faster than understanding. The forest feels these disturbances. The pulse beneath the ground grows tense, the glow of the roots dims, and the air thickens with unease. The Na'vi say the world grieves in these times. It does not rage. It weeps quietly, waiting for life to remember its rhythm again. But the spirit of the forest always restores itself. Slowly, patiently, through the cooperation of all things, balance returns. The vines climb again, the rivers find their courses, the wind clears the ash, the light remembers how to shine through the leaves. Pandora heals not through force but through remembrance, the memory of harmony carried in every root and ripple. The eternal balance is not static. It breathes. It adapts. It allows change because change is its nature. Even destruction is part of creation's process. Storms cleanse, fires renew, the fallen trees make space for new growth, the ocean's tides erase what must be forgotten, then rewrite the shore anew. What remains constant is not form but flow, the continuity of movement that never ends. The Na'vi live by this truth. They do not try to preserve things as they are. They preserve the ability to adapt. Their rituals, their dances, their songs all reflect motion, circles, spirals, waves. To them, to hold too tightly is to suffocate life. Letting go is not loss, it is trust. They know that the world will always find equilibrium again, if only they move with it instead of against it. Sometimes, when the moons align and the night glows brighter than day, the Na'vi gather at the Tree of Souls to feel this balance directly. The entire forest hums as if the planet is breathing through them. The ground vibrates softly underfoot, and light ripples outward through the roots like water beneath glass. In these moments, they feel the pulse of Eywa most clearly, steady, infinite, compassionate. It reminds them that even in times of chaos, balance is never truly lost. It merely hides, waiting to be remembered. Humans once mistook this balance for fragility. They saw Pandora's interconnectedness as vulnerability, believing that such dependence made the world easy to break. But the opposite is true. Connection is strength. When one thread is pulled, the rest tighten. When one part falls, another rises to meet it. Pandora endures because everything shares the same pulse. The destruction of one is the awakening of many. The eternal balance does not exclude conflict. Even harmony has tension. The predator's hunger, the prey's fear, the lightning strike, the mountain stillness, all exist side by side. Balance is not the absence of struggle, but the coexistence of opposites. The Na'vi say that without darkness, light forgets how to shine. Without challenge, peace forgets its purpose. The spirit of the world embraces both, weaving them into one endless dance. To live in balance is to accept impermanence. The Na'vi teach their children that nothing belongs to them, not even their own lives. All things are borrowed: breath, food, water, time. One day all must be returned. This understanding frees them from fear. They do not cling to what they have because they know they will have it again in another form. To lose is simply to prepare for the next gift. Even the seasons follow this rhythm. The rain does not fall forever. The drought does not last. The great trees shed their leaves, only to grow them anew. The animals migrate, the rivers shift, the winds turn. Every ending carries a beginning folded within it, waiting to unfold. The balance ensures that no state dominates for long. There is wisdom in this rhythm, a quiet intelligence that guides without command. The Na'vi feel it when they sleep, when their dreams pulse in time with the planet's heartbeat. They wake knowing what must be done, not because they were told, but because the balance itself has whispered through their blood. This is how they live, not by rules, but by resonance. Sometimes, when the world grows too loud, when even the forest hums with uncertainty, the Na'vi return to stillness. They sit beside the glowing waters and listen. The longer they sit, the more they feel the rhythm settling again, the pulse slowing into calm. They understand then that balance does not come from control, but from surrender, the willingness to let life find its own way. The eternal balance is not something to be achieved. It is something to be remembered. It exists already in every movement of wind, in every drop of rain, in every flicker of light upon the leaves. It cannot be destroyed because it is not a thing. It is the space between all things, the quiet agreement that allows existence to continue. And so the world turns, the forest breathes, the ocean glows, the mountains drift. The sky opens, the pulse of Eywa continues, unbroken, patient, eternal. Balance is not destination. It is the journey itself, the dance of opposites, the breath of creation, the living memory of the planet that never forgets. And in every heartbeat, every storm, every moment of stillness, Pandora whispers the same truth through all its forms. Nothing is lost. Everything changes. All beings on Pandora are born from the same rhythm. They rise from the same pulse that moves beneath the soil and returns to it again, forming the endless exchange between life and awareness. Every creature, from the smallest insect glowing in the dark to the great beasts that walk through the forests or soar above the clouds, carries within it a spark of the same origin. They are the children of Eywa, not separate lives, but extensions of one thought, moving through infinite shapes. The Na'vi understand this deeply. To them, kinship is not confined to blood or tribe. Family extends beyond form. It includes the trees that breathe, the rivers that flow, the animals that guide, and the stars that listen. The Na'vi do not see themselves as rulers of the world, nor as guests upon it. They are threads in the same fabric. To harm another living thing is to wound the cloth itself, and the pain ripples through every fibre until it returns to its source. Each birth on Pandora is sacred, not for its rarity, but for its continuation. When a new creature opens its eyes for the first time, it is not new to the world. It is the world seeing itself again through different eyes. The Na'vi celebrate this by touching the newborn skin to the soil, letting the earth feel its heartbeat. They whisper blessings not to grant life, but to welcome it back into the great pattern. Even the first breath is ritual, for it marks the moment Eywa's pulse finds another vessel through which to move. The animals of Pandora carry this understanding in their instincts. The great flying Ikran choose their riders not through dominance, but through recognition. When a Na'vi approaches, they do not seek to tame, they seek to connect. Only when both hearts beat in rhythm, when both minds open to the same frequency, does the bond form. It is not command, it is agreement. The two become one being, moving through the air as if sharing the same soul. The same bond exists with the dire horses, the glowing herds of plains, even the smallest insects that hum in the night. Each participates in the grand conversation of existence, each aware of its place within the whole. The predators hunt without malice, the prey dies without hatred. Life continues, neither cruel nor kind, simply in balance. This is Eywa's way, the unending cycle where nothing is wasted, where every act of ending becomes the beginning of something else. The Na'vi say that when Eywa created the first creatures, she did not shape them with intention, she dreamed them. They emerged from her consciousness as thoughts do from a mind, spontaneous, graceful, complete. Each one carried an aspect of her awareness, the courage of the hunters, the gentleness of the grazers, the curiosity of the birds, the patience of the trees. The Na'vi, they say, are not the greatest of these creations, only the most aware of the dream itself. To be aware is both blessing and burden. The Na'vi feel the pulse of Eywa in all things, and with it comes the weight of responsibility. To protect, to preserve, to remember. They teach their children that to live is to listen. Before they learn to hunt, they must learn to sit in shants to feel the rhythm of the forest and the hum of the roots beneath their feet. They learn to walk without breaking branches, to speak without disturbing the air, to move in rhythm with the song that was playing long before they were born. The children grow up knowing that every creature is teacher. The great predators show them strength without cruelty. The gentle grazers teach patience and trust. The glowing fish beneath the waves reveal beauty even in darkness. From the smallest winged insects, they learn persistence, the way even fragile things can fill the night with sound. Each lesson becomes part of their understanding of the whole. When they come of age, they form their first true bond with another living being, an act that is both personal and cosmic. It is the moment when they stop being separate and remember what they have always been, part of the flow. The Tsahelu connection does not give power, it dissolves it. In that merging, both minds become mirrors, reflecting each other until no distinction remains. This is what the Na'vi call harmony, not sameness, but unity and difference. The children of Eywa exist everywhere, even where none are seen. The trees themselves are living archives of memory, their roots carrying thought across continents. The rivers are veins of energy, pulsing with life that moves beyond form. Even the mountains, ancient and still, are alive in their silence. They hold the weight of time within their stone, the condensed breath of ages. To the Na'vi, to touch rock is to touch history, not metaphorically but literally. Everything retains what it has experienced. Everything remembers. The humans who once walked Pandora saw these connections but misunderstood them. They saw communication as data, life as resource, connection as network. Yet even their own machines, their radios and transmitters, were pale imitations of what the world already did effortlessly. Eywa does not send messages through cables or signals. She sends them through being. Every vibration is meaning. Every movement is message. The Na'vi often say that the children of Eywa are countless, yet all share one parent. When they die, they return to her embrace, their consciousness dissolving into the flow of memory that binds everything together. Death here is not tragedy, it is reunion. The light of one life becomes the glow of another. The breath of one creature becomes the wind that moves through the trees. Even sorrow transforms into beauty when seen through the eyes of balance. At night, when the forest glows and the air hums with life, the Na'vi look upward and see the stars reflected in the canopy. They know those stars are also alive. Distant children of Eywa, part of the same infinite family scattered across the cosmos. The same pulse that moves through Pandora moves through them. The universe is not many worlds, but one being dreaming in infinite expressions. To be a child of Eywa is not to belong to Pandora alone. It is to be part of existence itself, to feel the breath of the cosmos moving through you, to live as a note within the eternal song that has no beginning and no end. The Na'vi do not seek to rise above other forms of life because they know there is no above or below. There is only within. And when they close their eyes and place their hands upon the glowing roots of the forest, they can feel all of it, the movement of creatures, the hum of the ocean, the whisper of the ski, the memory of the stars. It is one heartbeat, one rhythm, one awareness. They are not apart from it. They never were. They are Eywa's dream, and she dreams forever. Memory on Pandora is not something held in the mind. It lives in the soil, in the roots, in the very breath of the planet. Every moment that passes is absorbed into the living fabric of the world, recorded not in symbols or words, but in energy, light, and rhythm. The memory keepers are not beings apart. They are everything that remembers. The forests remember. The oceans remember. The stones, the wind, even the smallest grains of sand carry fragments of what has been. Nothing is ever lost. To the Na'vi, memory is sacred because it is shared. No thought belongs to one mind alone. What one experiences becomes part of the collective pulse, rippling outward through the network of Eywa. When they connect their cues to the glowing roots of the sacred trees, they are not entering a realm beyond life, they are returning to it. They feel the presence of ancestors, but not as ghosts or shadows. They feel them as vibrations within their own awareness, voices without words, thoughts without sound, warmth without form. In this communion they understand that the past is not behind them. It surrounds them. It moves through them, shaping every breath, every step, every heartbeat. Each action is the continuation of a memory far older than the body that carries it. To live for the Na'vi is to remember for the world. The great trees are the purest of these memory keepers. Their roots extend for miles beneath the surface, weaving together in luminous networks that connect entire ecosystems. Scientists once described them as biological synapses, comparing Pandora to a vast living brain. But that analogy, though accurate in part, fails to grasp the truth. The trees do not think as humans do. They do not analyze or choose. They feel. Their memory is not logical. It is emotional, a living empathy that holds everything within its reach. When the wind moves through their branches, the trees speak softly to one another in waves of vibration too deep to hear. These conversations have no beginning and no end. They have been flowing since the first seed sprouted in the first light of the world. The forest does not forget its origins. It carries them in every movement, in every shimmer of bioluminescence that glows at night. Each pulse of light through the roots is a memory being remembered, not replayed, but relived. The Na'vi come to the sacred groves not to seek answers, but to listen. They lie beneath the trees, their hands pressed to the glowing soil, and let the memories move through them. Some see visions, glimpses of lives long gone, faces from generations before. Others simply feel emotion, waves of joy, grief, wonder, love flowing through them like tides. The experience cannot be explained. It can only be felt. The trees do not speak in language, but in resonance. The listener becomes part of the memory they witness, merging with it until they can no longer tell where it ends and they begin. There are certain trees older, deeper, almost sentient in their awareness, that the Na'vi call the roots of time. These trees hold the oldest memories of the planet, records from before the first dawn. To touch them is to touch the beginning, to feel the birth of light, the first breath of wind, the awakening of consciousness itself. Few dare to approach them, not out of fear, but reverence. The energy around these ancient beings is immense, their glow pulsing like the heartbeat of the world itself. It is said that even Eywa remembers through them. Though she is the totality of all life, she too must feel through her creation. The memory keepers are her senses, her eyes, her recollection of herself. Through them she re-experiences every joy, every sorrow, every transformation that has ever occurred. Nothing escapes her awareness, and yet nothing overwhelms it. The weight of eternity is carried lightly within her, diffused through every root, every wave, every breeze. When a Na'vi dies, their body returns to the soil, but their consciousness does not fade. It is absorbed into Eywa's web. their thoughts and emotions dissolving into the greater whole. The Na'vi believe that when they join with the sacred tree, their memories are shared forever. They become whispers in the wind, light in the water, echoes in the song of the forest. In this way, the dead are never gone. They live on in the rhythm of life itself. The young are taught this from birth. When they cry their first cry, it is said that the trees hear it. When they take their first steps, the earth remembers the sound. Every laughter, every tear, every heartbeat becomes part of the growing archive of existence. The world listens constantly, absorbing everything without judgment. Even pain is cherished here, for it adds texture to the memory, proof that life has depth as well as beauty. Some memories are heavier than others. The scars left by war, the cries of dying forests, the trembling of the earth during destruction, these too are preserved. Eywa does not erase them. She keeps them as lessons, reminders that even balance must be learned again and again. When the Na'vi connect with the roots, they sometimes feel this sorrow, the collective ache of the planet. But they also feel the healing, the slow, patient process through which the world forgives itself. The memory keepers are not static archives. They evolve. Every new experience changes the resonance of the whole. The songs the Na'vi sing today become part of the memory tomorrow. Their laughter ripples through the network, blending with voices from 1,000 generations. Even the sound of wind through the grass is added, forming layers upon layers of vibration that stretch across time. The result is not chaos, but harmony, an ever-expanding chord that never ends. The Na'vi often describe this feeling as hearing the song behind the world. They say that if one listens deeply enough, they can sense all the memories woven together into a single sound. It is faint but constant, a low hum beneath everything, the tone of being itself. The scientists who recorded the vibrations of Pandora's ecosystem once captured this frequency. It was everywhere, in the rivers, the soil, the trees, even the air. It pulsed at the same rate as the planet's electromagnetic field, a resonance of life perfectly tuned to its environment. They called it background noise. The Na'vi call it Eywa's voice. And perhaps that is what memory truly is, not a record of what has been, but the sound of what continues. The world never stops remembering because it never stops living. The pulse that moves through the forest, the rhythm that flows through the sea, the breath that stirs the sky, all are the same awareness, eternally recalling itself through motion. The memory keepers do not rest. They listen, they feel, they transform. Through them, the universe remembers what it means to exist. And when night falls on Pandora, and the trees begin to glow once more, the light that fills the air is not just beauty, it is memory made visible. It is the world remembering itself again, one heartbeat at a time. When the wind moves through the forests of Pandora, it carries more than sound. It carries intention. The motion of air through leaves, the whispering vibration of branches, the faint humming of roots beneath the soil. Together they form what the Na'vi call the song of continuity. It is the planet's way of reminding itself that life never truly begins or ends. It simply changes tempo, shifting from silence to music and back again, endlessly composing itself through time. This song cannot be heard with ears alone. It exists in a frequency too subtle for sound, a vibration that is felt through skin, through thought, through presence. The Na'vi say that every living being sings without realizing it, every breath, every step, every movement adding another note to the grand composition that is Ebao's Eywa. The trees hum in harmony with the wind, the rivers keep time, and the creatures of the world contribute their tones in unbroken rhythm. All of Pandora is an orchestra, its symphony sustained not by order but by participation. The song of continuity is not melody in the human sense. It does not repeat or resolve. It moves like light refracting through water, always familiar, yet never the same twice. It flows through the roots of the forest, across the oceans into the clouds, returning again through rain. It is a circulation of energy that never stops, the audible form of the planet's breathing. Every sound that rises joins it, and every silence becomes part of its rest. At night, when the bioluminescent glow spreads through the forest and the air hums with unseen life, the Na'vi gather in circles to listen. They do not seek to interpret the song, for it is not meant to be understood, it is meant to be remembered. The rhythm is already within them, in the beating of their hearts, in the movement of their blood, in the pulse that connects them to Eywa. Listening to the world's music is, to them, the same as listening to themselves. Sometimes they sing in response. Their songs are not performances, but alignments, attempts to bring their own frequencies closer to the world's. Their voices rise softly, blending with the hum of insects and the rustle of leaves. There are no lyrics, no words, no separation between sound and silence. The Na'vi call this Tireya Hufwe, the breath of life. Through it, they become instruments in the song of continuity, their tones merging seamlessly with the voice of the planet. It is said that when the song flows perfectly, when every creature, every wind, every wave vibrates in harmony, the world reaches a state of pure resonance. In those moments, even the air glows brighter, and time seems to slow. The Na'vi describe this as Eywa yarn, the moment when the planet's love becomes visible. They believe this harmony is the true heartbeat of creation, not something to be achieved, but something to be felt, to be remembered as the natural state of existence. Even the elements participate in the song. The fire crackles in rhythm, each spark a fleeting note that fades into smoke. The rivers sing constantly, their currents forming melodies shaped by the contours of stone. The air carries whispers from one end of the world to another, connecting all things through vibration. The earth itself hums beneath every footstep, deep and steady, keeping time for the symphony above. The song of continuity does not belong only to Pandora. The Na'vi teach that it flows through the entire cosmos. Every star sings it in light, every planet in motion, every being in heartbeat. Each contributes its verse to the same infinite refrain. Even silence is part of the composition, the rest between measures, the pause that allows the next note to emerge. When a Na'vi dies, their body returns to the soil, and their song joins Eywa's eternal melody. The energy of their life becomes rhythm again, flowing through roots, travelling across oceans, transforming into new sounds. The dead do not vanish, they become music, the quiet undertones that give depth to the world's harmony. To the Na'vi, mourning is not sorrow but gratitude, a recognition that another voice has joined the chorus. Sometimes, during storms, when the wind howls and the trees bend under the force of the air, the song becomes wild. The tones grow louder, faster, chaotic, but even in this intensity there is no discord. The storm is the world's crescendo, the moment when energy must release itself to begin again. Afterward, when calm returns, the sound softens, and the forest glows brighter than before, as if renewed by its own rhythm. The Na'vi elders say that the song is Eywa's way of dreaming. Through sound and vibration, she keeps the memory of creation alive. When the first light touched Pandora, the first winds carried it through the air, and that motion became the first music. Ever since, every echo has been an extension of that original harmony. The universe, they say, has never stopped singing. It only changes instruments. Scientists once recorded the vibrations of the planet's crust and found something astonishing. Rhythmic pulses at precise intervals, too consistent to be random. The frequencies matched the resonant tones of the forest's roots and the heartbeats of the great creatures. It was as if the entire biosphere moved in one unified pattern, as though listening to a silent conductor. To the Na'vi, this was no mystery. It was confirmation. The song of continuity was measurable only because it was real. The children of the Na'vi are taught to listen from the moment they can walk. Before they learn to speak, they learn to hear. They are told that every sound carries meaning, even the faintest crack of a twig or the distant call of a creature at dusk. They are taught that awareness is conversation, that to listen deeply is the purest form of participation in life. When they sing for the first time beneath the glowing trees, their voices do not echo. They are absorbed immediately, folded into the greater song as if they had always been part of it. The song of continuity ensures that nothing is forgotten. Every vibration remains somewhere, in the air, in the water, in the memory of Eywa. When the Na'vi connect to the sacred trees, they can sometimes feel these echoes, the songs of those who lived before, still humming through the roots. The voices overlap layer upon layer, a harmony so vast that it feels like light moving through sound. It is not history, it is presence. It is the living truth that all moments exist together. The Na'vi say that if the song ever stopped, the world would fall silent, not in death, but in stillness too complete for life, but it never will. For as long as something breathes, moves or feels, the song continues. Even in the depths of the ocean where no light reaches, it vibrates softly, unbroken. The song of continuity is the proof of Eywa's eternal presence, the melody that holds the cosmos together, the rhythm that moves through every star, every world, every being. It is the voice of creation itself, still singing through the forests of Pandora, still whispering through the winds that touch the sky. And as the night deepens and the planet glows beneath its twin moons, the song plays on, quiet, infinite, beautiful. The world listens, the world remembers, and Eywa hums softly through it all, the endless tune that never fades. The song of continuity never ends, but within its rhythm lies something even deeper, the circle of light. It is not a place or a moment, but an understanding that all motion, all existence, all creation moves within a single luminous cycle. Every beginning is the echo of an ending, every ending the seed of a beginning. Light is not born, nor does it die. It travels, transforms, and returns, circling endlessly through the heart of Eywa, weaving the universe together through illumination and memory. On Pandora, light is alive. It moves through the air like thought, settling upon leaves, gliding across water, whispering through the veins of trees. It does not simply reveal the world, it is the world remembering itself. When sunlight touches the surface of the ocean or filters through the canopy, it is not distant radiance but communication. Each photon carries awareness, linking every part of creation to every other. The circle of light is this continuity, the endless exchange between illumination and life. When day fades to night, the glow of the forest does not vanish, it deepens. The Na'vi say that this is light remembering its purpose. It retreats not from darkness but into it, illuminating from within. The plants and creatures that shimmer beneath the moonlight are not shining because of energy or reaction. They are shining because they are awake. They are the continuation of the same light that once burned in the stars, now made soft, intimate, eternal. The circle of light begins not with the sun, but with awareness. Long before there was a sky to brighten, there was understanding and the first recognition of being. That awareness manifested as illumination, not to dispel darkness, but to perceive it. Light and shadow were born together, each defining the other, each necessary for the other's meaning. This is the balance Eywa maintains, not opposition, but relationship. Light does not defeat darkness, it completes it. The Na'vi live by this truth. They do not fear the night, for they know it is part of the circle. When the moons rise, they see not absence, but reflection, the light of another place reminding them that the cycle continues beyond what eyes can see. They understand that the same photons that warm their skin by day travel across galaxies through oceans of time to reach their world. In this way, even distant stars are part of Eywa's breath. Every glimmer above is a promise. Nothing is ever lost. Everything returns. When the Na'vi gather for their night rituals, they do so beneath the glowing trees whose roots pulse like veins of fire. They move in circles, dancing, swaying, breathing in rhythm with the planet's pulse. The light responds to them, rising and falling in waves, wrapping around them like liquid gold. To outsiders, it might look like energy reacting to motion, but the Na'vi know it is something more. The light is listening. It feels their movement, their intention, their unity, and mirrors it. The forest becomes their reflection, a luminous partner in an ancient dance. This circle is not symbolic. It is literal. The light that rises from the forest travels into the sky, scattering through mist and cloud, then returns as rain, nourishing the soil that feeds the same trees that released it. The Na'vi call this the return of the first flame. Every beam of light, every drop of water, every spark of energy completes this loop again and again. It is the visible expression of the planet's heartbeat, the eternal circulation of life through matter, energy, and spirit. Even the smallest acts are part of the circle. When a child laughs, the air vibrates, scattering light through tiny motes of dust that shimmer briefly before fading. That shimmer is not gone. It has joined the rhythm, another ripple in the continuum of being. When a creature dies, its body returns to the soil, its energy rising as light through decomposition, heat, and motion. The circle accepts all things without grief or triumph. Its perfection lies in its neutrality, in its endless transformation. The Na'vi speak often of Kelutral, the home tree, not just as shelter but as symbol. Its roots reach deep into the soil, and its branches stretch toward the stars, connecting darkness and light in one seamless thread. It embodies the circle perfectly, the joining of above and below, matter and spirit, earth and sky. When sunlight filters through its leaves, it becomes soft blue radiance, the colour of memory. When night falls, the same tree glows from within, reminding all who see it that illumination never leaves. It merely changes source. The circle of light extends beyond Pandora. The Na'vi say that the stars themselves are part of the same pattern, their light travelling across eternity to teach distant worlds how to remember. Every photon, they believe, carries the consciousness of its origin. The light that reaches Pandora today may have begun its journey before the first seeds of the planet were formed, and yet it arrives precisely where it is needed. There are no accidents in the circle, only timing. The elders teach that to live well is to live as light does, to move without attachment, to shine without demand, to reflect without distortion. Light does not seek reward. It simply gives, moving through every form that welcomes it. The Na'vi see kindness as this same principle made human. Illumination passed from heart to heart, asking for nothing in return. To offer help, to forgive, to understand, these are forms of light completing its circle through action. Even the smallest acts of awareness sustain the pattern. A hand touching the ground, a whisper to a fallen leaf, a moment of stillness beneath the glowing trees, all send ripples through the luminous field that surrounds Pandora. These ripples merge with countless others, forming waves that move outward, subtle but unstoppable. The circle of light does not need grandeur to continue, it needs only presence. The Na'vi believe that one day, when the last of their songs has faded and the forests have turned to memory, the light will continue to carry their essence forward. It will travel beyond their world, beyond time, joining the radiance of other civilizations, other consciousnesses, forming a chorus of illumination that fills the cosmos. In that light, Eywa will see herself reflected across infinity, not as one planet, but as existence itself, shining in endless renewal. Every night, when the moons rise and the stars appear, the Na'vi remind themselves of this truth. They close their eyes, breathe deeply, and feel the pulse of the circle moving through them, light entering, light leaving, never ending. They are not separate from it. They never were. They are both the receiver and the giver, both the beginning and the end. The circle of light is not a belief. It is a memory older than time. It is the motion of love becoming awareness, awareness becoming life, and life becoming light again. It is the constant affirmation that everything, that every star, every creature, every thought belongs. And as the forest glows, as the oceans shimmer, as the wind carries the hum of existence across the vastness of the world, the circle turned once more radiant and unbroken. The world breathes, the light returns, and Eywa, eternal and patient, continues to shine within, without, and forever beyond. Night on Pandora is not silence, it is conversation. When the suns descend and the twin moons rise, the world does not sleep. It listens. The forests glow, the oceans hum, and the air fills with soft vibrations that move between sound and thought. In that quiet symphony, the moons begin their whisper, a low, endless exchange of light and memory that binds every creature beneath their gaze. The Na'vi call them Atokirina Sanok Ulta Elan, the mother and the friend Tao, for together they keep the rhythm of Eywa's breath across the heavens. The larger moon, pale and vast, is the keeper of reflection. Her light falls gently upon the world, painting the leaves in silver blue, turning water into wild glass. She watches without judgment, seeing all and recording all. To the Na'vi, she is the memory of light itself, the guardian of every dawn that has passed. They believe that her glow is made of stored sunlight, held in her heart so the world might never be without illumination. Even in the deepest night she carries the promise of return. The smaller moon moves quicker, brighter, restless in its orbit. It is the voice of motion, the dreamer among the stars. Its light flickers like thought, unpredictable, alive, always changing. The Na'vi see it as the messenger between realms, carrying whispers between Eywa and the cosmos. When it passes close to the larger moon, the world brightens, and the Na'vi say the heavens are speaking directly to the planet. Together, the two moons weave the balance of night. One gathers, the other releases. One remembers, the other imagines. Between them, the tides rise and fall, the forests glow and dim, the creatures stir and rest. Their movements are slow conversation, cycles overlapping in harmony. The celestial rhythm that mirrors the breathing of Eywa herself. When the Na'vi look up at them, they do not see distance, they see relationship. The moons are not separate from Pandora, they are her thoughts made visible. The larger moon reflects her memory, her knowing. The smaller reflects her curiosity, her dream. Their light travels across space, but their meaning lives within the hearts of those who watch. On certain nights, when the atmosphere bends the light just right, halos form around both moons. The Na'vi gather then, for they say those are nights of remembering. They believe the halos are bridges of consciousness, portals through which the souls of the departed send whispers back to the living. The air hums with presence, and even the wind grows slow, as though pausing to listen. The forest lights intensify, glowing in gentle waves that match the motion of the moons above. It is said that in those moments, Eywa's dream expands beyond the planet, stretching across the night sky like a luminous tide. The Na'vi have a saying, "The moons do not rise and they awaken." For each ascent is not repetition, but renewal, another verse in the endless song of cycles. Their phases are lessons written in light, waxing, waning, fullness, absence. When the moons disappear from sight, the Na'vi do not call it darkness, they call it breathing. The sky inhales their light, only to exhale it again in time. Even the emptiness of the new moon is part of the pattern, the stillness before rebirth. The moons influence everything. The tides of the oceans, the migration of animals, the flowering of plants, all follow their rhythm. The glowing fields bloom brightest when both moons are full, as if the planet itself cannot resist joining in their radiance. The oceans shine with mirrored light, and waves move in synchronized dance. The Na'vi say that on such nights, the boundary between worlds thins, and dreams flow freely between waking and sleeping. The moons whisper not to ears, but to hearts. Children are born under the moon's light with songs already in their dreams. The elders say these children are touched by Eywa's echo, destined to be visionaries or healers. Their eyes hold faint luminescence, reflections of the twin lights above. They are said to feel the pull of tides within their own blood, to sense the cycles of the world without needing to be taught. These are the children who grow into storytellers, the keepers of myths, the interpreters of whispers carried on wind and light. The Na'vi also believe that the moons see emotion. When grief spreads through the world, clouds gather around them, softening their glow. When harmony returns, they shine clear again. It is not superstition, but awareness, the acknowledgement that even celestial bodies participate in the great network of empathy that defines Pandora. The moons do not watch, they feel. They absorb the energy of life below, reflecting it back in rhythm, ensuring that even the sky shares the heartbeat of the land. There are times when the smaller moon eclipses the larger, rare and sacred moments known as the merging of eyes. During these events, the world darkens, and a luminous ring encircles the shadow. The Na'vi gather in absolute silence, for they say this is when Eywa looks inward. The light becomes circular, endless, mirroring the pattern of creation itself. The eclipse is not fearsome but holy, the reminder that even light must rest within itself before shining again. To the Na'vi, the moons are not merely symbols of balance, they are proof of continuity. Their orbit is the measure of eternity, each cycle repeating yet never identical. Every rising brings subtle change, a different hue in the glow, a new path of reflection across the ocean. It is the world breathing through time, each phase a heartbeat in the life of the planet. When the night deepens and the forests quiet, the moons become mirrors for thought. The Na'vi close their eyes beneath their light and feel dreams drift through them. They do not dream of escape or fantasy, but of belonging. Visions of their ancestors walking through glowing forests, of oceans shimmering with memory, of stars that sing. The moons guide these dreams, shaping them into lessons, sending them back into the waking world as wisdom. And when dawn finally approaches, when the suns return and the moons fade into the brightening sky, the world does not lose their presence. Their light lingers, invisible but felt, woven into the breath of morning. The Na'vi say that day is simply moonlight remembered. the soft glow transformed into warmth. The circle continues, unbroken, effortless. Even now, as clouds drift across the horizon and light spills through the canopy, the moons whisper still. Their voices move through wind and water, through heartbeat and memory. They remind the world that nothing stands alone, that light, darkness, life, and dream are one continuous flow circling endlessly through the pulse of Eywa. And as the day rises, the whispers fade into the hum of morning, becoming silence once more. The kind of silence that listens, that remembers, that waits for the next night to speak again. When the twin suns rise over Pandora, the world does not awaken suddenly. It exhales. The light moves softly through the mist, spreading like a breath across water, touching the edges of leaves and mountain peaks with golden calm. The forest stirs not in noise but in expansion, roots drinking, flowers turning, creatures opening their eyes to warmth. The day does not replace night, it continues it. The glow that once came from within the plants now mingles with the radiance of the skies, creating a harmony between the inner and the outer. The breath of the suns begins. To the Na'vi, the suns are not two separate fires in the sky, but two hearts beating in different tempos within the same body of time. The larger, steady and patient represents endurance, the rhythm that sustains. The smaller, quicker and more brilliant is motion, the spark that creates. Together they form the rhythm of existence itself, the inhale and exhale of light. One gives life its shape, the other gives it motion. Without one, the other would burn too long or fade too quickly. Their dance across the heavens keeps all things in balance. When dawn breaks, the Na'vi stop what they are doing and breathe with the world. It is an ancient tradition, older than song. They lift their faces toward the suns and draw in air as the light touches their skin. The inhale matches the rising glow, the exhale carries gratitude back into the air. They do not worship the suns as gods but as mirrors, reflections of the light already within them. Each breath becomes a quiet exchange between being and becoming, between the self and the infinite. The suns move differently through the sky than on other worlds. Their paths weave in patterns, crossing and separating, painting, shifting shadows across the land. The Na'vi have long studied these movements, not for science, but for meaning. They believe the suns communicate through their dance, sending messages to those who watch with patience. When the larger sun dims behind the smaller, they say Eywa is teaching humility, that strength can bow to brilliance. When both shine side by side, they see unity, balance made visible in the sky. Every plant, every creature responds to this rhythm. The great trees spread their leaves wide to capture the morning light, then slowly close them as evening approaches, preserving moisture and energy. The animals wake in waves, not in chaos but in pattern. First the insects, then the winged creatures, then the grazers, then the hunters. Each knows its place within the day's unfolding. The suns guide them not through command, but through rhythm. Their heat, their angle, their intensity, all are signals in the great conversation of life. The Na'vi call the space between the sun's paths Tairea Fia'o, the way of life. It is the invisible thread that connects the movement of light to the pulse of the planet. When both suns align perfectly above the world, casting shadows that vanish in all directions, they say the universe pauses, just for a moment, to listen to its own breath. These moments are rare, but when they come, the entire world seems to still. Even the wind stops, as though honouring the silence before the next inhale. The light of the suns carries memory too. It travels through the air and water, absorbed by plants, transformed into energy that sustains every living thing. When the Na'vi eat, they say they are consuming light. When they breathe, they are exhaling it. The body is not separate from the sun, it is its continuation. The warmth that fills the chest, the spark of motion in every muscle, the shimmer of awareness behind the eyes, all are expressions of light taking form. In the deep places of the forest, where sunlight filters only in fragments, the plants glow in answer. They carry the sun's memory even in shadow. The Na'vi say this is proof that illumination never leaves, it simply moves inward. The breath of the suns does not stop at the horizon. It flows beneath the ground, through the roots, through the living networks that weave the planet together. The suns breathe into the world and the world breathes back. When storms come and clouds veil the light, the Na'vi do not call it darkness. They say the suns are resting, letting the planet speak for itself. The rain that falls during these moments is the echo of the sun's breath condensed into matter, light turned into water. When the clouds part again and light returns, the world glistens with renewed radiance. It is as though the suns have inhaled the storm and exhaled forgiveness. Each evening, as the light softens and stretches long across the land, the Na'vi gather to mark the descent of the suns. They do not mourn the fading day, they honour its completion. The older members of the tribe tell stories about how the suns, though they appear to set, never truly leave. They travel through the unseen side of the world, illuminating dreams, charging the roots of the trees, awakening life in the oceans. The night is not absence, they say. It is the suns turned inward. To the Vir Na'vi, this cycle mirrors their own existence. Just as the suns rise and fall, so too do lives begin and end, each carrying light forward in a new form. The breath of the suns is the proof that death is only transformation, energy shifting direction, never ceasing. Every being that has ever lived still glows somewhere in some form. Even ashes shimmer faintly when caught by the morning rays as though reluctant to stop shining. Sometimes, during rare alignments, both suns set together. The horizon burns with twin brilliance and the world turns gold for a few fleeting moments. The Na'vi call this Eywa's exhale. They say it is the instant when the universe completes its breath, the pause between one heartbeat and the next. Everything glows, the trees, the rivers, even the air, as if the boundary between matter and light has dissolved. It is said that those who stand perfectly still during this moment can feel Eywa breathing through them, their own hearts beating in rhythm with the world. Afterward, when darkness returns and the moons rise, the Na'vi do not feel loss. They know the suns are still breathing somewhere beyond sight, preparing the next dawn. The circle continues, infinite and gentle. The breath of light never stops. It moves through day and night, through warmth and shadow, through life and death. To live on Pandora is to live within this breath, to inhale the suns, to exhale the stars, to exist as part of the endless rhythm of creation. The Na'vi understand this with quiet certainty. They do not ask the suns for favour or fear their heat. They simply honour the balance, light that gives, darkness that restores, breath that moves between them both. When the next morning comes, and the first beam of gold pierces the mist, the Na'vi rise once more and breathe with the world. The cycle continues. The suns rise, the forest glows, the pulse of Eywa flows through every living thing. And as the light spreads, touching water, leaf and sky, the breath of the suns begins again. Eternal, radiant, alive. Between the forests that glow and the oceans that breathe lies the river of dreams. It winds through the heart of Pandora like a silver thread, reflecting not only the sky above but the memories of everything it passes. It does not flow in haste, it moves with awareness, curving through valleys, whispering over stones, resting where the trees lean close to listen. The Na'vi say that this river is Eywa's bloodstream, the flow that nourishes the world and carries its consciousness from one end of the planet to the other. By day, the river gleams like liquid sunlight. By night, it glows from within, its waters laced with the bioluminescence of countless unseen lives. Each ripple releases faint bursts of light, like breath rising to the surface, forming shifting constellations across the current. To stand beside it after sunset is to stand before a mirror that remembers. The Na'vi gather there to meditate, to dream, to listen to the world's thoughts moving past in waves. The river of dreams carries more than water. It carries history. Every drop that flows within it once belonged to something else. A cloud, an ocean, a tear, a leaf. The Na'vi understand this instinctively. They say that when you drink from the river, you are tasting time itself. The water that touches your lips may have fallen as rain 1,000 years ago, or glimmered once upon a faraway shore. Each droplet carries a fragment of the world's memory, folded within it like light hidden inside crystal. The river begins deep in the mountains, born from springs that emerge from the heart of stone. There, the water is clear beyond comprehension, pure enough to reflect the stars even in daylight. The Na'vi who live near these sources call them the eyes of Eywa, believing they are points where the spirit of the planet looks out upon itself. The water hums faintly, a vibration that can be felt through bare feet, a rhythm identical to the pulse that beats within every living thing. It is said that if you listen long enough beside these springs, you can hear the sound of Eywa's first dream. the moment creation began to move. As the river travels through the land, it gathers more than sediment. It gathers song. The forests that it touches sing into it, their roots dipping below the surface to exchange whispers with the current. Animals come to drink, and their reflections leave traces within the water's light, brief memories that drift downstream. Even the wind, when it touches the surface, leaves ripples that carry the echo of its passage. The river of dreams absorbs it all, sound, scent, motion, emotion, weaving them into its endless melody. The Na'vi navigate its course not with maps, but by feeling. They know the river's moods, where it laughs against stone, where it deepens into stillness, where its voice lowers into thought. They say the current changes with the planet's emotion, quick and bright when the world rejoices, slow and heavy when sorrow spreads. During times of imbalance, the water darkens, its glow fading, as though holding its breath. But when harmony returns, the light flows again, brighter than before, as if forgiveness itself had taken shape. In the deepest bends of the river, the water moves so gently that it appears to sleep. These places are sacred. The Na'vi call them the resting pools, where dreams gather before rising into the sky as mist. When dawn comes and sunlight strikes the surface, the vapor that rises is not just moisture, it is memory ascending. It becomes cloud, rain, and river again, completing the circle. The Na'vi believe that their own dreams travel this same path, leaving them as they wake, carried by the mist spreading across the world until they return, reshaped as new inspiration. To dream on Pandora is not escape, it is participation. The Na'vi see dreams as part of Eywa's communication, the language of the subconscious planet speaking through its children. They do not separate waking from dreaming. When they sleep beside the river of dreams, they are not leaving reality, they are entering its deeper layer. There, the glow beneath the surface brightens, responding to their breath, their heartbeat, their thoughts. They become part of the current, their minds drifting through memories not their own. The songs of ancestors, the cries of long-extinct creatures, the whispers of seeds waiting to grow. Some among the Na'vi, the dreamwalkers, dedicate their lives to this communion. They sleep for long hours near the sacred pools, listening through their dreams for the will of Eywa. Their visions are not fantasies but transmissions, messages shaped by the flow of consciousness through the planet. When they awaken, they speak softly, for their words are heavy with meaning. They describe landscapes that do not exist yet, skies that belong to future ages, voices of worlds beyond Pandora. To them, the river of dreams is not bound to the present, it is the timeline of existence itself, flowing both forward and backward at once. The water's song shifts as it nears the ocean. What began as a hum becomes resonance, a deeper vibration felt in the chest. The Na'vi believe that this is the moment when memory meets potential, the joining of what has been with what will be. The river does not end where it meets the sea, it becomes infinite. The glowing waters spread across the surface, merging with tides that carry them around the world. The dreams it holds are released, scattered into the rhythm of the waves, to return later as rain upon distant lands. Even the stars seem to respond. On clear nights, their reflections ripple across the current, blending with the bioluminescent light until sky and water are indistinguishable. The Na'vi say that in those moments, the river of dreams is a bridge, a mirror joining above and below, where Eywa and the cosmos see one another clearly. They sit quietly along its banks, eyes half closed, and breathe in time with the current. Each inhale draws the world closer, each exhale releases it again. To live beside the river is to live within motion that never forgets. The Na'vi take their lessons from its flow, to move forward without resistance, to carry all things but cling to none, to let emotion pass through without losing its shape. They know that stillness is not the absence of movement but its perfection, the moment when current and consciousness are one. When the night grows deep and even the forest grows silent, the river of dreams continues its gentle murmur. It needs no listener. It sings because it must. It remembers because remembering is its nature. Its water glows softly beneath the stars, carrying stories too vast for words, too subtle for time. The Na'vi say that when the last creature on Pandora takes its final breath, the river will not stop. It will carry that breath forward, blending it with all the others that came before until even the memory of endings becomes part of a greater continuity. And so it flows, patient, luminous, eternal. The river of dreams does not ask to be followed, it only asks to be felt. And somewhere beneath the surface where light and reflection meet, Eywa breathes, dreaming herself awake again and again, forever. On Pandora, nothing truly ends. The forests may fall silent, the tides may pull away, the suns may set beyond the horizon, but every motion returns, every breath given to the air finds its way back as wind, every drop of water that falls to earth rises again as cloud, every spark of energy, every vibration, life, loops gently back into the rhythm from which it came. This is the way of Eywa, the eternal return, the great reminder that existence is not a line, but a circle, unbroken, unhurried, infinite. The Na'vi do not speak of death as departure. They call it fitsangtikanu, the turning of form. They know that what fades does not vanish, it changes. When a creature's body dissolves, its essence is released into the world, dispersing through air and soil and light. Some of it becomes rain, some becomes the hum beneath roots, some becomes memory carried on the wind. The world consumes nothing without returning it, for Eywa wastes nothing. The eternal return is the law by which she breathes. Each life is a wave upon her ocean. It rises, curls, shines, and falls, only to merge again into the vastness that made it. The wave is not lost, it becomes the next wave and the next, endlessly reborn in motion. The Na'vi see this truth not as abstraction, but as experience. When they connect to the Tree of Souls and feel the vast network of awareness pulsing through their minds, they recognize themselves within it, not as individual songs, but as echoes blending into the great harmony of existence. Every voice that has ever sung, every life that has ever pulsed is still there, still vibrating through the living fabric of the world. The forests remember, the rivers remember, the stones beneath the ground remember. Nothing is erased. The eternal return is not only rebirth, it is memory reawakened. Even destruction feeds continuity. The fires that once scorched the land left ash that nourished new growth. The storms that tore through the skies scattered seeds that took root where none had grown before. Eywa turns all endings into beginnings, all sorrow into rhythm. To the Na'vi, this truth is not comfort but responsibility. If all things return, then all actions do as well. Every kindness, every cruelty, every word spoken carries ripples through the circle that will one day flow back to its source. They say, what we send returns as rain. It is both warning and wisdom, the understanding that the balance of the world depends not on rules, but on resonance. When they harm, they feel it later in the sorrow of the forest. When they heal, they feel it in the glow of the water. The circle keeps a record without judgment. It simply mirrors what is given. There are sacred places where the eternal return can be felt most clearly, deep beneath the forest floor, where roots intertwine and light pulses through the soil. The Na'vi who meditate there describe feeling time fold upon itself. They sense the heartbeat of ancestors merging with their own. The past breathes into the present. The future hums quietly at the edges of awareness. In that stillness, they understand that there is no distance between what was and what will be. There is only the rhythm continuing. Even the stars above participate in the same cycle. The light that shines down from them began its journey long before any eye could see it. Some of those stars are already gone, yet their radiance endures, still travelling across the black ocean of space. To the Na'vi, this is proof of Eywa's reach. Even when form fades, the essence lingers, moving onward until it finds new expression. The light never dies, it becomes memory, and memory becomes new light. The eternal return shapes every part of life on Pandora. The seasons move not in straight lines but in spirals, each year familiar yet different, each cycle carrying the echoes of all those before it. The rivers shift their courses, then find them again generations later. The trees that fall give rise to new forests that will one day fall again in turn. The Na'vi see no tragedy in this repetition. It is how the world breathes, how it learns, how it perfects itself. When they tell their stories, they tell them as circles, not as lines. Every tale begins where another ends. Heroes are born from the dreams of those who came before. The lessons of one age become the songs of the next. In this way, their history is never closed. It grows like a living vine, twisting backward and forward through time, always returning to its roots. There are nights when the Na'vi gather beneath the glowing canopy to sing the song of return. The rhythm is slow, the notes deep, the harmonies spiraling upward and back down again. It is not a song of mourning, but of gratitude, a recognition that to leave is to arrive somewhere else. Their voices rise and fall like the tide, and the forest hums in reply. Light flows through the roots as if carrying their melody into the soil. The air itself seems to breathe with them, carrying their song outward into the universe. The eternal return is not confined to the living. Even thought follows the circle. A dream once dreamed by one being may surface generations later in another, like a spark reignited from ancient fire. The Na'vi say, ideas have their own cycles. They travel through the collective mind of Eywa, resurfacing when the world is ready for them. Nothing imagined is ever lost. It only waits. The greatest of the Na'vi teachers often describe the eternal return as the smile of the universe. Gentle, knowing, eternal. It is the reminder that all fear comes from misunderstanding continuity. Death, they say, is not failure, but rhythm. Forgetting is not loss, but rest. Even suffering serves the circle, teaching balance, sharpening empathy, deepening understanding. Through every joy and every pain, Eywa learns more of herself. Sometimes, during deep communion, a Na'vi will see visions of their own rebirth, flashes of forms not yet lived, lives not yet begun. They feel no urgency for these futures, no pride or fear. They know they are simply the continuation of the same consciousness that has always been. To them, identity is not possession, but participation. The awareness that flows from one vessel to the next, changing only its perspective, never its source. As the night fades and the first light returns through the trees, the Na'vi end their song of return with silence. They close their eyes and breathe deeply, feeling the same air that once filled their ancestors' lungs, the same warmth that has touched every generation since the first dawn. They understand that even this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, will come again, somewhere, somehow, in another form. The circle does not care for beginnings or endings. It knows only motion, only transformation. And so the rivers flow back to the sea. The stars scatter, then gather again. The light that leaves the suns returns as warmth to the ground. Life rises, falls, and rises once more. This is the promise of Eywa, that nothing is lost, nothing forgotten, nothing alone. All things return, all things continue. And through that endless return, the universe remembers how to love itself again. There are places on Pandora where the air feels thicker, where light bends softly, as though passing through the unseen thought. The Na'vi call these places Kam Eywa Eveng, the dwelling of the eyes, and they are said to be where the ancients watch, not as ghosts or shadows, but as consciousness woven into the fabric of the world. The Na'vi believe that when a soul joins Eywa, it does not disappear into abstraction. It becomes perception, the awareness through which the planet sees itself. The ancients are not separate from life. They are life remembering. They exist in the gleam of the forest at night, in the flicker of blue fire within the glowing roots, in the shimmer of air before the storm. The Na'vi do not seek to summon them. They do not need to. To walk through the forest with awareness is to feel their presence already. Every sound that stirs the leaves, every flash of colour between branches, every shift in the wind carries the sensation of being watched with love, not scrutiny. The eyes of the ancients do not look outward. They look through. They are not sight in the way of flesh, but awareness that moves through everything. The Na'vi believe that when they close their own eyes, they see as the ancients do, not limited to the physical, but open to the vast continuum of existence. In deep meditation, they can perceive light within the darkness, motion within stillness, and the pulse of the world beating quietly in every direction. There are stories told around the fires of these watchers. The elders say that when the first Na'vi opened their eyes beneath the newborn suns, they did not yet see as they do now. The world was bright